Hello, everyone. Welcome to a musical episode of Respawn Aim Fire, the Kick-Ass Raven Game Podcast for Affable Idiots. I'm one of your hosts, Adam, singing a jig, Gumbert, and today we have with us, hello there, Chad. How is your wife, Michael Ennis?
Oh, hello, mon ami. Ooh,
this is great for the audio people.
Swim.
Don't trust him. He betrayed me in Lies of P Overture.
Any idea what this is? Do you? No. This is Eskia from Expedition 33.
Y'all need to get woke and understand.
I need to get woke.
Yeah. I printed this amazing, beautiful Eskia mask, did a hilarious little bit, and y'all couldn't appreciate it because you weren't woke enough and you don't know who Eskia is.
We also have with us, he eats 5 dozen eggs. Alex Kazina, I guess.
I have been eating a lot of eggs recently. Eggs, I don't know if either of you know this. Eggs, high in protein, very high in protein. Protein can help suppress your appetite, and I'm someone who has in the past struggled with perhaps eating too many foodstuffs over the course of ye olde day, ye olde 24 hours rotation around the earth. And so I will sometimes cook myself up an omelet to keep the appetite in check.
You know what else fixes that? Ozempic. You catch us live on twitch.tv/AffableIdiots Monday evenings at 8:30 Eastern Time, YouTube and podcast services Wednesdays at 9 a.m. So housekeeping real quick. Next week, no new episode. So that's June 23rd for the live people. But June 30th, we'll be back with a barf review of Hollow Knight, followed by our 400th episode. Now, is that true? The 400th episode will be next week? Is it not After Dark?
No, I mean, we'll have to...
I'm just reading the paper.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, we will also have to record After Dark sometime soon.
We will have to figure this out, but we definitely will be doing at least our 400th episode 2 weeks from now. That is definitely happening. Whether we're doing...
I'm Ron Burgundy. RAF game for the month.
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
It's still Hollow Knight.
Episode 400, 2 weeks from now. Look forward to it.
According to Cozy. We'll see if it sticks. Hollow Knight is the barf game of the month. Again, we have 2 weeks before we're going to talk about that, so talk about it. Send us your thoughts into the email that only I look at. After Dark episode 5 is now available on Patreon for $1, patreon.com/respawnaimfire. And Cozy appeared on the Grow Up Level Up podcast with Samson, which I like Samson a lot. Don't care about the other guy, but I am a big fan of Samson.
Jordan.
Is that Samson Lee?
Sir Dr. JM, who is the other individual on the podcast alongside the two of us, was also equally fantastic. We had a great time. The episode is called Switch 2 Review. So far, better than the Switch 1? Exclamation point, question mark. It was a fantastic episode. Jordan was largely holding court on the episode, questioning me and Samson about our Switch 2 experiences so far because he had not obtained his own Switch 2 at the time of the recording. Definitely go check it out. The two of them were fantastic, and we made a great episode together.
And last but not least, leave us a 5-star review, subscribe, comment, YouTube, Twitch, all that good stuff. We don't say it enough, but we might as well, Subscribe, I guess. Follow. I mean, go to Blue Sky. Give us a follow there.
What else are you doing right now? Idle hands are the devil's plaything. Use your hands for good. Give us a little review.
Go click on a button real quick. Anyways, enough of that nonsense. Main quest. Switch had a big lunch with more to come. This is multiple
yum.
Sources, all from VGC. For the people who can't see the document, which is nobody, I typed in launch. Switch had a big launch. Chad said lunch is a joke, and I switched it on the fly.
That's what I appreciate
hold on,
this podcast.
Real quick.
Yeah,
real quick before we get into this, Adam, you've talked about how you're not really interested in the Switch 2. You'll likely never get one. Would you get a Switch 2 if, for the rest of your life on this mortal coil, Nintendo sent you every week a free lunch?
No.
Every week,
it's probably some doo-doo lunch that you don't want anyway.
Yeah, it's fucking school lunch. I don't want that shit. No, yeah. I'll save my $500 and buy real food.
Here's the thing. The lunch, you don't get any choice over what the lunch is, but it will be at least of equal to or higher than 25 American dollars of value.
Why?
Think about that.
Well, I mean,
what does Nintendo get out of that?
Yeah, I know that makes that's a devil's bargain. The devil is tricking you.
Yeah,
obviously, I would take that deal in real life. $500 for one free meal for the rest of your life is worth it. But you're trying to weave a web to convince me to buy a Switch, which is not going to happen. So you might as well drop this perfunctory idea you have in your head, and let's move on with our lives.
I'm going to warn you though, if you try to,
I don't know if that's right.
If you accept the bargain, if you accept the bargain and you sell the Switch 2, free spiders for the rest of your life.
Yeah, I mean, I got plenty of those.
Nintendo sends spiders instead of lunch.
Of an action or gesture carried out with minimum of effort or reflection.
Ooh, fucking perfect.
Yeah. Fucking nailed that one, Adam.
Nailed it. Nintendo Switch 2 has set a new record by enjoying the biggest launch week of any game hardware in United States history. The record, previously held by the PS4, has been smashed by Nintendo's console, which sold 1.1 million Nintendo Switch units in the U.S. during its first week. According to Circana, the 3 best-selling physical games during the launch week were Mario Kart Wild, Cyberpunk 2077, and Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 edition. Earlier this week, Nintendo announced that Switch 2 had sold 3.5 units globally in the first 4 days, making it the fastest-selling Nintendo system ever. And then some other things. We'll start here. Obviously, you guys have enjoyed it. Is it what? What's up? I don't know what's so funny.
Sorry, I got the giggles and I got to get them out of my system.
I got the Googles. I just can't stop searching.
Conduct myself well on the podcast. All right, we're going to go back to the Nintendo lunch once a week thing. What if?
Oh my God.
All right.
Stick with me on this. The food that they send you is all of the food that you can get in Mario Kart World. It's basically real life approximations of the food there. But you eat that food and you get a free double jump for 1 hour after eating it.
No,
you wouldn't get a real life double jump?
No, for what point? For what purpose?
Exactly. I don't even single jump most of my days. Why would I need to double jump?
Yeah, I'm 35 years old. Let me be a professional athlete because I can double jump for 1 hour a week. Like, what are we talking about here, Cozy?
According to those terms, you can also double jump one time within that hour.
I was going to say, what you can do is
I can dunk one time. Great. Awesome.
You can put the lunch in your fridge or your freezer, and then you can defrost it. You know what
See, there's a lot of... You're changing the terms of services without any, consent here.
No, I'm just showing you how you can game the system. What you could do is you could basically freeze, 12 lunches at once, and then eat them all in a row, and then you would have 12 hours of double jump in a row.
Speaking of gaming the system, this video game system, Nintendo gamed the system in order to make it the biggest launch of all time. You remember when this game system was supposed to come out 6 months ago, and then they're like, "Hey, no, we're not gonna release this. We're gonna hold on to it a little bit, and we want to make sure it's in plentiful supply." This is what it gets you the biggest launch of all time because they actually had enough supply to meet demand, which was...
You could walk into a Best Buy and get one easily enough.
Here's what I wish had happened. I wish that plentiful supply was evident from the day of pre-orders. That way it wouldn't have caused stress for an entire month and a half 2 months while we were all trying to figure out how the fuck we're going to get one. It'd have been great to know that there was going to be plenty in stock ahead of time, but good for them.
Isn't that the day one adopter... Isn't that the whole hustle bit of it where you had to freak yourself out or oh no, I'm not going to get it. Not me. Oh no. And it's like, we have plenty. It's fine. But they got your money.
We don't like that.
A chump.
Us day one chumps, we don't like that feeling.
I don't know. You keep doing it.
We keep doing it because that's the only way that you can get it nowadays. Speaking of the only way you can get it nowadays, you can get Cyberpunk 2077 in a lot of different ways. And I'm very surprised that that's selling so much on Nintendo Switch 2.
I will say, what other games are on the Switch 2 at launch, Chad?
Exactly.
I mean, they really pulled out. They really advertised the shit out of that game. That was one of the only Switch 2 games we saw at Summer Game Fest. So it's not really super surprising to me. I will say, real quick, putting all the Switch lunch stuff aside for a brief moment, which, by the way, Chad, you started that. At the end of the day, you were the person that originated this, so Adam has no reason to be angry at me. It's you who mispronounced it as lunch, and I want you to know that. I want you to atone for your sins. You mentioned at the top how we were supposed to get it 6 months ago and then it got delayed and so on and so forth. On the episode of Grow Up, Level Up that I did with Samson and Jordan, we were talking about how obviously one of the big games that saw a huge boost at the launch of the Switch 2 was Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And I was like, man, it's kind of insane that like it has been like basically close to 2 years at this point. Not even that, like 2.5 years, because that game released in late 2022. And when it released in late 2022, we were all like, man, like this game runs like shit. But certainly the Switch 2 is right around the corner. Certainly a few months from now, we'll be playing a much improved version of this game. And we had to wait 2.5 years for us to finally get the Switch 2, for us to finally play Pokemon
2.5 years, and you had to pay an extra $450.
The way that Lord Shigeru Miyamoto intended us to finally play it. Oh boy. But yeah, very happy. This is a very good, solid launch. It's almost, I don't know. Am I Stockholm syndromed into saying that, like, I'm kind of disappointed that this launch kind of went off without a hitch, that it's kind of been pretty straightforwardly successful?
I mean, when you launch one system in one video game, it's hard to fuck it up. So congratulations.
Well, if you asked me and Joel for the last 2 weeks leading up to this launch, then it was one of the least successful launches of all time.
Yeah, this is why you should move up to Canada and order exclusively from Best Buy.
I wish I could have ordered. I mean, I did eventually get one from Best Buy as my console that I own now, but yeah. Good little system.
Speaking of Switch, Donkey Kong. He's coming out next month. Hey, he's crazy. Donkey Kong Bonanza will be released on July 17th. The game is the first major Nintendo title release on the Switch 2 following the launch of the console. The Direct is announced for this Wednesday, so listening to the podcast. It comes out today or has already happened. But
yeah, it will be happening literally the same time this podcast drops on Wednesday.
Yeah. Wave 2 of Nintendo Switch games you excited for? You've already carted away. You've unlocked the cow. Now you can go punch the rocks with Donkey Kong coming up soon.
Yeah. You know what you should do is you should take the VOD version of this episode that's going to be on YouTube, and you should take the Donkey Kong Direct and see if they sync up with each other, like Dark Side of the Moon and Wizard of Oz. See if there's any secret messages that get unveiled.
Every time Cozy says lunch, something awesome will happen on the Donkey Kong stream.
Are either one of y'all going to get
this one?
Oh,
yes,
so yeah,
I'm going to get this. I'm going to get this for 2 reasons. One, to justify my purchase of the Nintendo Switch 2, because I already am done with it until Donkey Kong Bonanza. Like, I did everything I needed to do solo in Mario Kart, and then I've played it multiplayer as much as I think that the people I'm going to play it with multiplayer are going to have time to play it. So my Switch 2 is now sitting on my shelf until Donkey Kong Bonanza comes out, and then once that comes out and I beat that, then it's sitting on my shelf until, I don't know, Metroid Prime comes out, and then it's sitting on my shelf forever. So yeah, I'm excited for this.
I definitely talked about it earlier in the year. I'm definitely going to check out, I forget what it's called, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, because that was one of the games that got a boost at launch, and I was actually planning on checking it out this year, even before they announced that. So that will definitely keep me occupied. Man, Nintendo, I know I already talked about it on last week's episode, but please put out a upgraded version of Mario and Luigi Brothership, because I really want to play that game, but I really don't want to wait 3 seconds for each battle to load in.
I'm sorry,
Please
bro.
upgrade that.
You're not getting it.
You
got to put too much money into their games that sell, like Splatoon Raiders.
Yeah, they have to spend too much money recreating those lunches that will give you double jumps that Adam doesn't want. Can you believe it?
Last but not least, new Splatoon game, I guess, announced for Switch 2, Splatoon Raiders. The title was teased alongside the new Nintendo Switch 2 patch for Splatoon 3. Again, I haven't watched this trailer. I know you guys just watched it. What is this new Splatoon? Is it actually a new game? What's happening here?
You don't know. It's the first full proper spin-off in the Splatoon series. We've had expansions to some of the core mainline games in the past that were like part of the packages. Like, we had an expansion for Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 3 that were just add-ons to their campaigns. This is the first Splatoon game that we've got that's like its own unique SKU. Very little information about Splatoon Raiders so far. We don't know all that much about it, but my prediction is this is probably going to be some sort of unique Nintendo-ish spin on the survival genre. Lots of survival games out right now on PC. That particular genre is doing very, very well for itself. I can see Nintendo being like, how can we kind of take this particular genre and do our own Nintendo-y spin on it? Oh, hey, Splatoon's really popular. What if we married this together with Splatoon? That's my prediction, but obviously we'll need to wait and see how things turn out.
I feel like this is going to be almost like a Bowser's Fury or like a extra Super Mario Party levels kind of thing for Switch 2. Like the fact that this was announced at the same time as the Switch 2 upgrade for Splatoon 3 makes me think that it's going to be like if you buy the Nintendo Switch 2 version of this game or you upgrade with the upgrade pack, then you get this new mode, whatever Raiders ends up being. Maybe it's the Dune Awakening competitor, but in Splatoon's universe.
That is, you just actually raised a very, very good point. I played Bowser's Fury at the start of this year. I enjoyed it quite a bit. It was like a solid 8 out of 10 for me, but I was pretty disappointed that I had to buy 3D World to play Bowser's Fury. Like, you can't just buy those two experiences separately. I hope that Splatoon Raiders is its own thing and that I don't have to get Splatoon 3 to purchase it. I already have Splatoon 3, so hopefully if I can upgrade it at like a small cost, it won't cost me that much more to get Raiders, but like, I would rather just be able to buy Raiders by itself, IMO.
I don't want anything to do with it.
Chad said, fuck that.
I'll definitely check it out. They put out an
perverts.
expansion for Splatoon 3 that was like a roguelite mode that actually seemed pretty cool. I never checked it out, so I need to check that one out as well.
Cool.
That's that.
Moving on to playtime, where we talk about things we play during playtime. I guess you two can just like tag team this bitch, because I guess you guys are both talking about the same thing. So however you guys want to introduce what you
we're gonna tag team this P.
Before you talk about your PO, let me talk about my P. Because I beat the Lies of P over the weekend. And once again, just damn, it's so clear to me why we unanimously made this game of the year 2 years ago. It's just
So wait,
it's a fucking
sorry,
great
real
game.
quick. Quick clarification. You beat the main campaign, not
Correct.
Overture. Got
I
it.
beat the main campaign
Got
for the
it.
first time.
Got it.
After, I played it like 8 hours when it launched. I said, this is a really good game. And then something came out and took my attention away. And then I returned to it after the announcement at Summer Game Fest that it was dropping that day. And I said, cool, let me beat the main game. And that's all I've played for the last week is Lies of P. And that game it's so creative. It is the main game I would describe as an accessible Souls-like in a world that is more clear, has better story to it. Is like it is just it's a good game with so much good systems in it.
It's if I can just interject really quickly, Lies of P is a good example of like simplifying the Soulsborne formula in like all the right ways. People love these Soulsborne games for how unforgiving and how much in the kind of nitty gritty they allow you to get. And I feel like Lies of P like did a good job of being like, let's simplify these things here and there. Let's streamline this a little bit so as to make it ever so slightly more approachable, but not so much that it ultimately morphs into a product that we don't want to play, that people like us that come here for the Soulsborne experience but want something slightly more accessible might be just a little too turned off by because it gets too far away from that specific fantasy.
Yep. Two things about this game. One, this is a PSA. If you are playing this game and you beat it, and it says, hey, do you want to start New Game Plus right now, or do you want to go back to the hotel? You go back to the fucking hotel. Go back to the hotel because there are, no matter what ending you choose, there are 3 endings. Each one has a trophy just sitting in the fucking office upstairs. Just go to the hotel, go read whatever's waiting for you, and get that trophy. And then you can go do New Game Plus. I save scummed to get 2 endings, but I didn't realize there was something I had to get after the first ending, so now I have to go and save scum again when I beat it on New Game Plus to get both endings, a different ending. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, just go back to the hotel for a hot second. I don't even know why they don't offer that as standard.
Now I want to know, what ending did you get on your first go?
No spoilers. But I purposefully did the worst ending right off the bat.
Okay.
And then I said, all right, let me do that again, and this time make a choice that gives me good ending, but not best ending. Because again, I think we talked about this last time where I thought I was like, when I played this a year and a half ago, was I always supposed to lie or was I always supposed to tell the truth? I think I was always supposed to tell the truth, which no, if you want like the best ending, you always lie. So yeah, I did not have enough of a currency by the end of this thing to get the best ending, but that's what my New Game Plus will be. But I am very happy that I decided to buy Overture when I did, because Overture is one of those DLCs that it's not standalone, and it is also not its own like chapter that you access from the menu. It is an in-game thing that you have to progress into the story a certain amount before you get to a thing that lets you go to the DLC. So I luckily was at the end of the game already, and I had gone back to the hotel, and I decided yesterday, I was like, let me go ahead and buy the DLC, because I was just about to start my New Game Plus run. It's like, let me go ahead and buy the DLC. And I went ahead and did it, and then it said, congrats, you have the DLC. You can actually go there right now. And I was like, well, shit, maybe I'll go do that. And I jump into this DLC, Cozy, and it is hard as shit. This DLC, I feel like, ramps up the difficulty for these enemies in a way that I feel like, one, justifies the brand new addition of having difficulty levels in the game, which they introduced with this patch and with the DLC. But also just completely took me by surprise, because I beat this game having never... I think there were 2 bosses that I temporarily put it down on easy mode for, just to beat the boss, because I was like, you know what, I'm ready to be done with this part of it. So beat the boss and then put it back to normal. I go into this thing, and these regular ass enemies are just wiping the floor with me. You get to these bosses. In fact, there was one boss that I was fighting. I was like, ooh, let me put this down to easy. And I go into the menu. It's like, oh, I'm already on easy. Like as easy as it gets.
Was it, if you don't want to be spoiled anything related to Lies of P Overture, maybe tune out now. Was it by any chance a giant crocodile?
The crocodile was certainly a big one, but it was even before that. Some of the other enemies.
Oh, I think I know the one you're talking about. It's like it starts off. It's like, oh, that's a nice animal with a nice big old trunk, and then it turns into a monstrosity. That one. Yeah. And just before that, these kangaroos that are coming up and just like kicking the shit out of your face. This DLC is it's an alternate, not an alternate timeline. It's in the past. You're going into the past, and you are right now. Everything I've experienced is part of Krat Zoo. So you're going to the zoo in the past. You don't understand why or how you got here or the significance of it, but you're in the zoo. So this whole first area is all, enemies that are zoo animals that have been taken over by this petrification disease and turned into these weird monsters. And you get to a little bit of a circus area too. And now it's like a little carnival. You get to play games and kill puppets and clowns and stuff like that. So it's a really fun environment so far in both places that I've been. But yeah, it's tough as shit. And I was mostly surprised because like you don't have to have beat the game. The ending of the game, in my opinion, was nowhere near as difficult as this DLC, which you can access after doing like 75% of the game. And so yeah, I was very surprised at how difficult this ended up being. But I'm loving the setting. I'm loving the brand new. They've added several new weapons to this thing and new enemy types. I've tried out the bow. There's a new bow that makes you fucking jump around and shoot shit like Robin Hood, and it looks super cool. I'm currently using a big pinwheel weapon that you carry around that has pinwheels on it. And what's really fun is that it has like razor blade pinwheels, and it does really good damage. But if you run and you let the pinwheels spin up from the wind running through them, then it does like 40% more damage. That's the Legion arm ability, right?
No, that's just it's a great sword weapon.
It's a weapon. Oh, interesting. Because there's a Legion arm ability that's like a bunch of like chakrams or whatever the hell they are. Like
I also have that. Yeah, you throw those discs out and they do a bunch of damage. And come
I don't know.
No,
if this
is a big giant stick that has 2 razor blade pinwheels on it, and it's so cool.
Yeah, so I've been playing Lies of P Overture as well. I would say probably close to about 4/5 of the way through the DLC at this point. With regards to the difficulty thing, I will say I'm right there with you, where I'm very pleasantly surprised by how it's surprisingly difficult the DLC is so far. When I beat Lies of P, I had completely just 100%ed everything that there was to do in it. I got the platinum trophy. I expected that going into this DLC, I was just going to be just trampling over everything in my path. And yeah, right from the
And just so everyone
onset,
knows, you beat it in platinum bit before difficulties were things. So you're a real gamer.
Yeah.
Like you beat it without
yeah.
any easy mode.
And I have like the super secret, ultra secret weapon that you can only get from harvesting the soul of like the real true final boss of the game. And yeah, the DLC's enemies just absolutely kick your ass. I'm still, I'm making good progress. I'm not getting stuck at any particular moment for too long, but definitely a good challenge. I've been really enjoying this DLC overall. I'm surprised by the sheer breadth of new content in it. This DLC is like surprisingly longer than you might expect, which I appreciate because I had to pay 40 Canadian dollars to get this. And so I'm definitely happy that I'm getting my money's worth in that regard.
Yeah, it was 30 in the US. And I looked it up before I started it, how long to beat it. And they said between 15 and 30 hours. And the game itself is like 30 to 45 hours. So this is like half of the game, basically.
And I will say, really appreciate the way in which the story of this one is something that you're kind of experiencing much more in real time. With a lot of these Soulsborne games and with the original Lies of P, you're very much, the story that you're experiencing is very much occurring after all of the major events, all of the major table setting of the world that you live in has already occurred. And you're almost sort of like an archaeologist that's sort of going back and kind of piecing together the narrative of what happened before you awoke in this particular world you're in now. And so I appreciate that instead with this one, like there's sort of a story going on in real time. You may or may not be in pursuit of a certain individual who is perhaps just a step ahead of you. And I'll kind of leave things at that for the sake of not going into specific spoilers. Really enjoying that. Also just appreciate like how varied some of the environments are. You talked a lot about the zoo, which is really fun and filled with all sorts of mutated zombie animals, and then you have a little carnival area with a bunch of fun little mini games there as well. That, like, when I got to the end of the carnival area, I was like, well, certainly there's not going to be that much more of this DLC from here on out. And there is so much more, and like some incredibly like shockingly creative and unusual, incredibly like unexpected environments. Like there's this one particular zone I took a few screenshots of it last night. I didn't share them on Blue Sky, but I will do so eventually when I beat the DLC, where there are these like new puppet enemies that they introduced that, let me tell you, they are hard as balls to fight, but like I freaking love their designs. And I don't want to spoil it for your sake and for the sake of the other people listening, but I'm like, man, this team really cooked when it comes to the designs, the kind of conception of a lot of these puppets. I will say I do have a bit of a critique so far of the DLC, something that has been giving me a bit of existential dread as I continue forward with it. And this actually ties into the PSA that you were giving earlier about like making sure that you do certain things before you restart the game, making sure that you don't lock yourself out of certain rewards, certain things towards your 100% completion of Lies of P. Lies of P Overture has a few time-sensitive, contextual decisions that you have to make as well. I don't know if you reached this particular point, but at the end of the carnival area, did you speak to a certain individual who asked you to make a dialogue choice?
I literally just did the end of the carnival thing like an hour ago. So I feel like I would have, but I can't immediately recall what that would have been.
Hypothetically, there may or may not be a person that at the end of the carnival area hypothetically asks you to make a certain dialogue choice.
Yes.
And I made,
was it about a canvas?
Yes, it was about a canvas.
Well, I hope I made the right choice.
Well, so here's the problem. I've not completely spoiled myself to everything that there is in the remainder of this DLC, but I did look up a trophy guide for the DLC just to kind of do a cursory glance of what's asked of me to get all the trophies in it. And apparently, like, if I make all of the right decisions all in one go, if I don't make a single wrong decision, I can theoretically get all the trophies in Overture without having to replay it. But apparently, if I make at least one wrong decision, I have to go back, restart the game, and then progress back to Chapter 9, and then restart the DLC if I want to redo some of the decisions.
Yeah, you got a new game plus this shit and go all the ooh, okay, I'm gonna look up a trophy guide and
yeah, I'm very much in the position where it's like, and the thing is like I also don't want to like only play the quote unquote correct way of playing the game. I want the decisions I make to be the decisions that I want to make at the end of the day. But it's still filling me with dread knowing that I might have made a wrong decision or two along the way, and then I've probably locked myself out of content that I'll have to spend like another 20 hours getting to.
I am feeling good in the fact that in order to get the platinum trophy, I do have to do an entire new game plus run anyway. So maybe I will use that opportunity to. I'm just gonna play this DLC as it is right now, and then if I need to, I'll come back and make the quote unquote right choices when I do new game plus.
Yeah, see, you're, in a way, like by holding back and not having beaten the game until now, I feel like you're kind of in a better position for exactly the reasons you're describing. So, yeah. And by the time I new game plus this shit, I'm gonna have not only all these quartz in my P organ, but I'm gonna have upgraded my P organ with more quartz to have stronger quartz on my PP organ. It's gonna be I'm gonna be OP as hell on my P. And so that's all there is to say for now. I'm sure we'll have some more upgrades when we come back. More upgrades, more updates.
More upgrades. Well, we will both have more upgrades and then also probably updates.
That's true. When we come back for episode 400, I will say, Chad, now that you've beaten Lies of P, you've most certainly seen the post-credits scene for this game that teases what the future of this universe might look like. There are a few teases to this future elsewhere in the DLC, but I'll leave you to find them.
I am so excited.
Small, very, very small teases.
I'm so excited that they feel like they have a plan. Like, you get to the end of this, you see the ending, you get to the credits, and then you have this little tag at the end. And, like, that little tag could have just been, like, a throwaway, or it could have been here's the thing we want to do. But, like, then you're like, oh, no, there are, like, references to the key and these other things in there. And they have a plan. Is this their first game? What fucking studio is this?
I think it might be. By the way, Adam, do you know what we're talking about? The tease?
Yeah, I already know.
Okay. Just making sure.
And that makes me think, like, what's the next game? How do they stick with this branding? How do they let people know this is sequential? I'm so fucking pumped. But I was listening to something. Oh, it was maybe it was the Elder Scrolls thing. I was listening to something where somebody was talking about a game they were making, and they were like, "Oh, this is the best freaking thing, and we're gonna kill this character." And then we never thought about, oh, they want a sequel. Where do we fucking go from here? Well, if we thought about this before, maybe we wouldn't have killed that character, so we'd have somewhere to go. It feels like this team, Round 8 Studio, it feels like they had an idea of this whole universe they want to build out with all of these characters, and I am so fucking pumped to see their plan unfold.
Oh, man, it is exciting.
Round 8 Studio, known for the free-to-play MMORPG Bless Unleashed. It's founded in South Korea as a mobile game developer. Mm-hmm. That's wild.
Yeah, this was the first game of this type. Bless Unleashed, also, I mean, it's old at this point, but it was pretty solid when it came out. That's right. Anything else, Chad, or was that all just the same?
That's it. That's all I played this week.
Yeah, that's all I've played as well.
Okay. I've played two things. So do you guys want to hear about... Actually, I'm going to do it in this certain order just because it makes sense for my segment afterwards. This new game came out, published or maybe created by 11-Bit Studios. I'm going to look that up because I'm not entirely sure. 11-Bit Studios. It sounds like a studio to me. The publisher, the developer.
I did hear Easy Allies today on a podcast talking about 11-Bit Studios, so I don't know what you played, but there's something in the zeitgeist right now about them.
Did they do Skulls of the Shogun way back in the day?
I don't know.
Am I right about that?
No. What I know that they are...
Frostpunk, Moonlighter 2, Death Howl, and Altars.
And the Altars is the game I'm talking about.
Real quick correction. Skulls of the Shogun was developed by 17-Bit, not 11-Bit Studios.
Okay. Oh, very different bits.
Not the same. But yeah, no.
Oh my God. It's 8 bits between those two. There's an NES... And Lies of P developers round 8.
Whoa. No, it's 6 between them, Chad. 11 and 17. There's a 6 number different.
Not in non-Euclidean geometry. There's not.
Stop. Anyways, I played
there are types of math where 2 plus 2 does not equal 4.
That's true.
And that's the one I was referencing, obviously.
The Altars is the game that I've been playing. It's a game that just came out from 11-Bit Studios. It is the game, it's got the big pink background, and it's got a bunch of copies of the same man on the cover. You might remember this from game shows where this guy cloned himself a bunch, and it's like, oh, what's this wacky world we're in? The game itself is actually something I was not expecting, and it's like, holy shit, this game is actually amazing. So the premise is that you are this man named, I think his name's Jan, and you wake up like crashing on a planet. Like he's a builder who's helping an expedition. You get to the planet, and again, you're on an alien planet. There's irradiations, all kind of crazy shit. And he's like, fuck, everyone else is dead. They're all in their pods, like their escape pods, not punctured or damaged, but they're all dead inside their pods. You get to the base, and he's like, shit, what am I supposed to do? And, story goes on. The thing I like of this game is that, like, the story is actually really, really cool and interesting, on top of, like, the gameplay stuff is interesting. So the idea of the story is that this man has to clone himself to be able to survive to get off this alien planet. And the way that he clones himself is he goes, there's a quantum computer with a database of his life choices, and you change a life choice somewhere along the path of your life. So when he was 22, instead of leaving his hometown, he stayed in his hometown, and now he becomes a different person, and you clone that different person who made that different choice. And now you have another character to help you do the resource management and the base building and all of that kind of stuff. But the whole time it's like, what is the ethics of cloning yourself? And like, this person has a full life of memories, but isn't a real person at all. And like, do they have any, they get freaked out about it whenever too. It's really, really cool. So all that it's dark ass sci-fi shit where it's like, yeah, there's a really cool, I'm not going to spoil it. There's like a really cool moment that popped up recently when I cloned a scientist and he did a thing. And it's like, oh, that's literally impossible. You don't actually exist in the world. But the thing he just said is actually something that exists in the world without anyone being able to know that he would know that. Weird, crazy sci-fi shit. On top of that, you build a base. You're managing your clones of yourself. And then during the day, you go out into the alien world and you're collecting resources and setting up bases and stuff to progress you through the story. Because when the sun comes over the horizon, you will die. Like, that's the idea. It's like, if it reaches, because you have, your base is like a giant wheel with like a bunch of shipping crates in it that you can build. That's how you build your base. And you're trying to make the wheel keep going till you get to safety. And you're collecting resources.
You're also made out of ice cream and you melt in the sun.
No, it's like, it makes the planet surface like 500 degrees and everyone dies immediately.
Oh.
Man, so if Nintendo's going to serve you lunch that's ice cream, they better get it before the sun comes up.
Before the sun comes up and burns you alive. No, the base building stuff is really fun. The crafting, resource management stuff is also cool. Again, if you like any of those survival games or anything. But specifically, the story is so weird and fucked up in sci-fi. It's like, oh, this shit is good. And the actor, obviously, it's the same guy. There's one actor playing every part, and he's really, really, really good as well. I was so shocked, because I looked at that game. I was like, all right, it's a game by like a AA studio. We'll see. It'll be all right. And I'm like, no, this game kind of fucking kicks ass. And it's really, really cool. So I played it because it's on Game Pass. I think that's on every console that matters. But if you get a chance, check out The Altars. It is super cool.
Their Altars of the game, it only lists it as Steam. Is it really on everything else?
I mean, I'm playing it on Xbox, so...
Okay. Cool.
It's definitely on other things. Probably on PlayStation, I believe, as well.
I'm now... Like, I was listening to Easy Allies earlier today as, like, I just want to hear people talk while I do other shit, so I was, like, not really paying attention. But now that you're talking about all this, and the clones, and the guy... They said something, I think, about the, like... Each clone of him, it sounds like it's a completely different voice actor. Like, that's how good the actor is. Like, it's like every single clone of him is not just an identical same guy, same voice, all that kind of stuff. He's putting on different voices. This is all like legitimately like made by one guy, isn't it? Right? Or is it just one guy?
No, one guy is the actor. There's one actor in the game because it's it's clones of himself. It's on PlayStation 5, PC, and Xbox. It's on Game Pass, so I played it. Yeah, and basically think of like Fallout Shelter, but then you also do survival stuff like, whatever survival game you want to think of. Okay, here's what I'll do. Fast forward 2 minutes if you don't want to hear a spoiler. I'm only in Act 1 of the game, so it's not a huge deal. So I'm in a spot where like, fuck, man, we got to figure out how to come over this obstacle, but no one here is smart. I'm like, okay, I'm going to go back and again, you go to the computer, and the computer is like... It's really interesting. The first time you click on the computer, it says deleting expired data, and then it just shows you Jan's life choices. So I'm like, what was before we deleted all that other data? Anyways, one of the choices is like, okay, if at this point in his life he would have done this instead of this, he would have turned into a scientist. So you input that into the computer, you use a resource that you gather to clone. There's a place called the womb. One of the buildings you build is called a womb, and you build a person, and he comes out and he's like, he's a scientist, like he's smart. And he's like, oh, this is interesting. Because when he wakes up, they see you. And he's like, well, I'm looking at myself. Obviously, something's going on here. The other guys freak out. He's like, oh, okay. So that means that, again, I think it's called Rapidium. Oh, Rapidium must be real. So the idea of cloning yourself must be true because I'm looking at myself. And I understand this. I'm a scientist. I'm not a fucking idiot. Everyone else is like freaking out. Like, what's going on? What kind of trick? He's like, no, I get it. What's going on? He's like, I have glasses on because the simulation assumed that glasses would make me smarter, but I don't actually need glasses to see. It's crazy. So he's really fun to work with because he doesn't freak out. He knows what's happening. He did a thing. Again, this is the small spoiler. Again, it's Act 1. He said, I need you to go. So you're also talking to another group, like the company that sent you, to be like, help me out. Fucking help me, whatever. You can't see anybody on the screen. It's always staticky, but they're talking to you. And he's like, go ask them about Project fucking Niantic or whatever it was. Because we need, I don't remember actually. Yeah. Ask for this project because we need a crafting blueprint from that project. We're working on it with a colleague of mine. They'll have it. And you call them up and you're like, hey, I need this thing. And you call my name. They're like, hold on a second. First of all, that's classified information. And there's no way your guy would know because he's just he's a basic ass dude. He's like, that's classified information. And that project was shuttered 3 years ago. The thing you're asking for is real, but there is no reason you should know what it is. And he's like, by the way, who told you that? And he's like, oh, my alter told me that. That's what they call your clones. He's like, it's interesting. An alter knows information about a thing that's in real life that he would not have been around for because he came to life 8 hours ago. And it's like, what the fuck is going on in this fucking game? Good shit, dude. That shit got me fucking hyped. I'm like, this is going to be good. And how long to beat? It's like 15 hours. I'm like, oh,
I literally was typing how long to beat in my address bar right now.
Let me see what the fuck is going on with this conspiracy shit. Let's go. I escaped the sun. Let's go. So yeah, that's really cool. I like that game a lot. Shocking and very good. And last but not least, listen, we all have urges, right? Biological, it's normal, not a big deal. Watching the Game Awards, and they had a commercial for a game called The First Descendants. And we all remember this. It was the free-to-play game from Nexon. That was
last year, right?
Where they had some jiggle physics. I'm like, let me check out these jiggle physics. See what's going on. So I've played about 3 hours of The First Descendant. The game, what it actually is basically third-person Destiny. Like it's exactly point for point. Like you go to your hub world, you go out on your missions in these different worlds, you get your guns, you have your abilities. It is exactly third-person Destiny. So just for context of what the game is, like the actual game itself is like an 8, like very serviceable, very good, very pretty. I was a little disappointed in the sexuality. That's not horny enough for me. I want it to be more horny. Here's the thing. They do have jiggle physics, right? If you move a character... I love
that you keep accidentally saying jizzle physics.
I mean, you can jizzle if you want to.
Yeah, my favorite Star Wars music band.
Yeah, everyone loves jizz. The thing about the game, like, it is very cool. I do enjoy the game. And again, I wish that just a company had the balls to just be sexual. But then I say that. So what it is like, okay, you've got your female character, male characters. You have different outfits, and that's what's sexy. Again, their butt always jiggles just a tiny bit. Their titties always jiggle just a tiny bit. The thing with this game is normally the costumes are like, okay, it's a little revealing, but not too much. It's what you would assume from a video game. But then you go into the paid options of the video because it's free.
Yeah, I was going to say, is this where the jiggle, the sexuality comes in? My dude,
it's legitimately like, okay, this character you have, Bunny, she's pretty cool. You know, she run out, her ass jiggles if you run and stop. Okay, cool. But like her suit's like a mech suit sort of, but you can see like her bits. All right, fun. But if you go and spend $20, you get her in straight up a thong bikini and a fucking bikini top. And she's like, she is legitimately wearing 3 ounces of fabric, and then she is butt ass naked the rest of the way. And I'm like, what an interesting way to make a game, where to be like,
yeah, right?
Because even in the trailers, it's like, oh, look, the ass is jiggling. But then the game's like, we're not horny, but if you want to spend money, you can just get naked ass characters. And it's fucking insane. For a game that is an 8 out of 10 gameplay wise, what an interesting fucking model to make money. It was wild.
Let me
you don't
tell
have to say it out loud, but like, did you buy the skin?
No, I'm not spending.
Nope.
I'm not spending any money in this video game. I'm good on that.
Let me tell you, Adam, if you want some more sexualized video games, let me tell you about a little console called the Switch 2, which every single day gets new games like hentai stripper mahjong girls, hentai anime girls play pachinko, hentai anime girls and dolphins play poker games. All sorts of games like that are usually available for at least $1 or less on the Nintendo Switch eShop.
Yeah, they're definitely not on Steam either. That's crazy. The only reason I really bring up I only played it for like 2, maybe 3 hours. The real reason I want to bring up First Ascendance is Chad, sing my song.
Segment from Adam, segment from Adam, segment from Adam, segment from Adam.
Did I actually rope-a-dope you with the horniness just to get me into a segment? Yes, I did.
Whoa!
What we're playing this week is Gaming This or That. So what we do in this game is I name something from a video game, and then you're like, is it from this video game or that video game? I tell you what the 2 options are. This week is a little different. There are 3 options.
Whoa.
And it's all very timely. It's all very timely. What I've done is Gaming This or That. These are all weapons in 3 video games. You have to tell me, is it from Splatoon? We talked about that earlier. Is it from First Descendants? Just talked about it. That's the point of the segue. Or is it from Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts?
Well, I've definitely played one of those 3 franchises, so we will see.
I've played a little bit of a demo of Splatoon. So let's go.
A little bit of a demo.
Okay, we'll go back and forth, but yeah, if you guess correctly, you get a point. We'll add up points at the end. All right, first game in Gaming This or That. Again, Splatoon, First Descendants, or Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Decavitator. Cozy, you'll go first because you're first on my screen.
That doesn't sound... Decavitator sounds kind of like Decapitate, which is a little bit too PG for Nintendo, so I'm going to say Banjo-Kazooie.
All right, Chad?
Decavitator... Yeah, it's definitely a play on Decapitator. Cav, meaning probably cavity, means it scoops out your cavities, which sounds very sexual, which means I'm gonna go First Descendant. I was thinking maybe Nuts and Bolts because sometimes Banjo-Kazooie gets a little bit sexual.
A little bit, yeah.
No, we're gonna go Nuts and Bolts. I mean, fucking First Descendant.
Okay, Decavitator, Decavitator. So I did say that right, correct? Decavitator.
Sure.
Sounds
I mean,
right.
it's a made-up word, but yeah.
Why not?
Is a sword from Splatoon.
Ah.
It is a sword weapon from
Kinda
Splatoon.
shocked.
Maybe it's like a play on caviar. Maybe that's why I'm like, did I say it correctly? I don't know. But Decavitator is what it's called.
There you go.
All right.
Next
so
up.
now, whenever
That's
we do
good.
these ones, we have to consider every possible way that Adam might be mispronouncing these names.
Well, I'm
to
not
make sure
mispronouncing it.
that
I spelled
correct.
it for you and everything. So,
right.
Next up is Dread Ringer. Dread Ringer. Chad, you can go first.
Okay, so that's a play on Dead Ringer. Dread is an enemy type introduced in the final shape of Destiny. First Descendant's a sexualized Destiny clone. First Descendant.
Okay, Cozy.
Weirdly, I can see the folks over at Rare putting this in Banjo-Kazooie, like being like, we want to be a little bit edgy with this particular weapon, the Dread Ringer, which Banjo and his bird friend Kazooie? It's Kazooie, right? Yeah.
That's the name of the game.
Anyways, it's Banjo and Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. Go with that one.
It is also a Splatoon weapon. The Dread Ringer, if you would have asked me for spelling, Ringer is W-R-I-N-G-R, like you ring it out.
Yeah, okay.
Ink.
Yeah.
Come on, they're smart. You guys are 0 for 2 so far. Next up, is this either Splatoon, First Descendants, or Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts? Citrus Slick.
How do you spell slick? How do you spell both words?
Citrus is spelled like orange and like orange juice, and then slick is S-L-I-C-K.
You said S. Okay, slick is S. Okay.
Slick is with an S.
You know what they say about bears? Bears love lemons and oranges and all sorts of citrus fruits. So I'm going Banjo-Kazooie.
Okay. Chad?
I already forgot. Citrus what? Citrus slick?
Citrus Slick.
Citrus slick. Citrus slick is it's a skin on a weapon that turns something that looked really boring into like a flashy, bold orange thing that you have to pay money for, and therefore it is First Descendant.
Citrus Slick is a weapon in Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, there we go.
You spray orange shit on the ground and people slip over it. Next up, Thunder Cage.
Thunder Cage.
What is Thunder Cage from? Taserface, God.
All right, Thunder Cage is what I call my chastity belt.
That's what I was thinking of too.
Thundercage.
The minute I saw this, I'm like, oh, that's a chastity belt. Yep.
Thunder. How do you spell it?
Just Thunder and Cage. CAGE.
All one word? Two words?
2 words. Thunder
Cage.
Space Cage.
It doesn't sound creative enough for Banjo-Kazooie, and it doesn't have anything fishy about it for Splatoon to me. So I'm going to, again, just go First Descendant.
Maybe its full name is the Thunder Salmon Cage, but I'm just like, oh no, in my pronunciation rules, the salmon is silent.
Nope, I just spelled it out for Chad. No tricks here. Give me an answer.
I'm going First Descendant.
I think that it's well known that bears love thunder and lightning, so I'm going to go with Banjo-Kazooie.
That's true. Anytime a bear roars at you, it's trying to imitate thunder. They just
It's
love
trying to be
thunder.
like
That's
thunder.
true.
Congratulations, Chad. You got your first point. Thunder Cage is an SMG from First Descendants.
I literally have I guessed First Descendant on everything. I think every single one.
I think you have for most of them. Yeah, you're just. Hey, look, it's free to play. If you play it on your PlayStation, no one's going to know, Chad. No one will judge you.
That's right. I'll appear offline like Matt always does in everything.
Just like how no one will judge you if you play Anime Poker Night over on the Nintendo Switch too.
It's so bad he knows all these because he buys them. Next up, Red Eye. RED space I or EYE. Red Eye. Cozy, you're first.
I mean, guys, come on now. We all know it's not thought, but it is taught. Sometimes words that start with T's are hard to differentiate from each other. It's taught first year of elementary school that bears, they got big old red eyes. We're going with Banjo-Kazooie.
All right, Chad.
Here's the thing. I've now learned if it's not a pun, it's not Splatoon. If it's not creative, it's not Banjo-Kazooie. And this just sounds boring as hell. Red Eye just sounds boring as hell. So I'm going to go First Descendant.
Chad, congratulations. You guessing First Descendant 5 times in a row has yielded you 2 points. Congratulations. Next up, Freeze Easy.
How do you spell it?
FREEZEEZY. Or does it say Z instead of Z for Cozy because he won't understand?
I mean, it's well known that the inventor of the freezer was actually a polar bear. That's why.
Oh my God! Here we go.
Around the North Pole.
I don't know who's first. I think
Freeze
Chad's
Easy
first.
is me.
Freeze
Yeah, Freeze Easy is that's a Banjo-Kazooie thing because I can't think of anything fish related. And bonus points. I think it has all of those Z's in it because it also has something to do with bees.
All right, Cozy, what are you thinking?
I mean, yeah, that, it's a sad story because in fact, it was a human inventor that actually stole the patent for the freezer from the polar bear that invented it. That's why that particular bit of information is generally censored in the history books. They don't teach you that.
Hey, Cozy, what would a polar bear need to keep cold if they live up in the Arctic?
It's for vacation, kind of when they come down south on vacation.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Chad, you're kind of getting at it. It's the idea that, nowadays, climate change has resulted in the polar ice caps melting.
The refrigerator was invented like 200 years ago.
I mean, 200 years ago, you had the Industrial Revolution. That was sort of the start of climate change.
You're just saying stuff. You guys both got it correct. It is from Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Yeah.
Next up, Tri-Stringer.
How do you spell it?
TRI' stringer.
Unfortunately, I want to say that this is Banjo-Kazooie, but I know for a fact this is a Splatoon weapon, so I'm going Splatoon.
Tri-Stringer. Yeah, this is a trident type thing. This is Poseidon's going to take that eel and stab it in 3 spaces with one swift poke. Tri-Stringer is a Splatoon.
Splatoon, Tri-Stringer is from Splatoon. It's actually just like it's a bow and arrow that shoots 3 arrows.
That's a lot more boring than I thought it'd be.
It's not Odin. It has nothing to do with that guy. Or not Odin, Poseidon. Next up, Rust Bin. What is Rust Bin from? Chad, I believe you're first.
How do you spell it?
RUST space BIN.
Rust Bin. Rust Bin, sit and spin, sexualized First Descendant.
All right, Cozy. You got a fun rhyme?
Very few people know this, but bears, they invented rust. Things didn't used to rust until bears invented rust. It's a pox that afflicts all metals around the globe now.
You going to give me an answer, or are you just going to talk about bears?
Banjo-Kazooie is my answer.
Congratulations, Cozy. Rustbin is from Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts. We're coming down to our final two, y'all.
I got to be honest. I was pretty nervous about that one because I know for a fact that there is a bucket weapon in Splatoon, and I could imagine that particular weapon being called like the Rust Bucket or something. Yeah, I could totally envision
bucket, I believe.
this being a Splatoon name as well. So I'm glad that it was Banjo.
Cum, but it's like cumin, but they try to in the cumin bucket instead of the cumin bucket. Again, we're on the last two. Blue Beetle.
I'm just thinking
Blue Beetle.
Cumin bucket. It's like my cumin bucket, but cumin is spelled come in, and this is my cumin bucket.
First time I saw cumin spelled, I was like, "Excuse me."
And then it's like, "Oh no, that over there, that's my washing bucket, and don't touch that one. That's my cumin bucket." You don't want to get those mixed up.
Speaking of coming, Blue Beetle, Chad, what are we thinking here?
What? I'm sorry.
I know it's Cozy. It's Cozy.
What is it called? What's the
Blue
thing?
Beetle?
Blue Beetle. It's well known. People would have you think that Bears invented Blue Beetle from DC Comics, which they did. They did in fact invent that particular superhero. They credited the bear that invented him in the opening of that one live action movie that came out a couple of years ago. But that's not the full story, because you see, bears invented the color blue as well. It's a well-known fact, and this is actually true if you go back in historical documents, that they actually did not use the word blue for many centuries, for many millennia. Whenever they would describe like the color of water, they would see, oh, it's wine color. This is actually true. I'm not actually making this part up. Like, the use of the word blue in terms of describing the color of things is actually like a relatively recent invention. And that recent invention was invented by a bear.
So what would the game be?
It would be Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
You just guessed that for him. By the way, the idea, he said millennia, as in multiple millennia. Sir, the Earth is only 3,000 years old if you leave the Bible. So I don't know where you're getting these times from. You say Nuts and Bolts. Chad, Blue Beetle.
You've recently, like in the last 30 seconds, unlocked a core memory for me of Beetle Adventure Racing. Okay. Beetle Adventure Racing on Nintendo 64, where all the cars are Volkswagen Beetles. That I have completely forgotten this game existed for the last. It came out in 1999, so almost 30 years I have not thought about this game. Oh my god, where the fuck would we even find Beetle Adventure Racing? I'm so pumped to look into this a little bit more. The game, by the way, has a 9.1 out of 10 on IGN and a 90% on Metacritic.
Holy shit.
This game fucking slaps, apparently. I mean, I remember it being good, but I also wouldn't have expected that. That being said, Nintendo 64, old, rare, when rare was good, Banjo and Kazooie.
It is from First Descendant. Blue Beetle is a gun in First Descendant. I think it's a long rifle or scout rifle. Last one. For all the marbles. If you mention a bear, you automatically lose. You can mention Banjo-Kazooie, but not just bears in general. Rainmaker. What game is Rainmaker from?
Is this me first? Yeah, this is me first, right?
Yeah, you first. Mm-hmm.
I feel like this is like a you shoot something into the sky. You know how in like desert areas of the world now, like I think in the Middle East, there are some places that are like, hey, we're shooting this thing into the sky to force it to rain. And then deviating towards the game, the rain is paint. And you're forcing it to paint whole areas of things. So I'm going to say this is a Splatoon thing to claim territory.
Okay. Cozy?
Man. You know, here's the thing.
Don't do it.
It's... sorry. I don't even have popper in me tonight. I don't know why I'm so giggly. It is well known...
I don't have a popper in me tonight.
It is well known that carnivorous mammals of the family Ursidae, aka large dog-like carnivorans, were of course the inventors of rain. But I think that's entirely coincidental. I actually think this is the first descendant.
Rainmaker. The weapon is from Splatoon.
Ooh, yeah.
Now let me count out the total. Go ahead.
I probably should have just said Splatoon 2 anyways.
No, you wanted to go on your diatribe with saying bear without saying it. Cozy has 1, 2, 3, 4 correct answers. Chad, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 correct answers.
Whoa.
So I'm going to go ahead and give us a tiebreaker.
Okay.
Because...
in non-Euclidean geometry, I've won.
Yeah. Wait a minute. How do I do this? Give me 1 second. Let me pull my list back up. All right. We'll go back and forth. You guys tell me. What is Aerospray from?
How do you spell it?
AERO spray.
Tricky.
Mark Echo's Getting Up, contents under pressure.
That's not one of the 3 games I gave you.
I mean, it's a well-known fact that, in fact, bears did not invent aerosprays or aerosols or anything of that sort. But I think that the answer is Banjo and Kazooie, all the same.
All right, Chad?
Aerospray, aerosols, Axe body spray, Stinky Jim. Jim is a human name. First Descendant.
It's from Splatoon. Let's move on to our next one for the tiebreaker. Squeezer. What is Squeezer from? Chad, you're up first.
How do you spell it?
Just how you spell Squeezer. That's normal.
Like Weezer, but with a squa?
Yeah.
Okay. Squeezer. Jiggle effects, squeeze them. First Descendant.
Cozy?
The problem with this one is I wanted to only say First Ascendant as my answer only once the entire game as part of my bit. And so it feels kind of shitty to say, actually, but hold on. If I say First Ascendant and it's true or false, we're both at the exact same spot. So I actually shouldn't say First Ascendant. I'm going to say Splatoon 2.
Congratulations, Cozy. You won. It is a Splatoon weapon.
Damn.
So, Cozy, you have won gaming this or that. The Splat
Goddamn.
Horny Bear and Bird edition of the video game.
That was the entirety of Cormac McCarthy's The Road to win that battle. That was a hard-fought battle.
Very good. And that's it. And I think we only have one thing left.
That brings us to Game
do.
On Game Show. The Game On Game Show, we play a game called Game On the Gaming Show. On a game show, game. Cozy. Take it.
Thank you, Chad. Today, we are continuing with a new installment of Console Honor Roll. We are going to be listing off the top 10 best-selling games from the Super Nintendo. The Super Nintendo, of course, first released on November 21st, 1990 in Japan. The rules are the same as they have always been. I'll read off 4 clues per game on the list. Everyone has 2 guesses per game. The fewer clues have been revealed, the more points you will receive if you correctly guess it. And, of course, each contestant has their own lock that they can declare once per game. The Chad lock and the Adam lock. Are we ready?
Get ready, Adam.
All right.
You better take this seriously because this is the last one that I have the possibility of winning.
You're going to get this. I was born this year and did not give up. I literally did not own a Super Nintendo. Don't worry about it. You got it, bro.
Wow.
It is worth pointing out, because the Super Nintendo released in 1990, the NPD group had not been tracking video game sales data yet at this point. And so, unfortunately, these numbers are all, once again, from Wikipedia. But that will change with the next list. But we are getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. Let's talk about number 10. The 10th best-selling game on the Super Nintendo is the first entry in a popular-ish franchise.
Ish.
Wait, how many? We get 2 total guesses per
2
thing,
guesses.
right? Okay. Not per clue, but per game, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Clue number 2. This game was co-developed by Nintendo and Argonaut Games. Clue number 3. The Torii Gates of the Fushimi Inari Shrine in Kyoto, which
Star
I
Fox?
visited. It is Star Fox.
What the fuck are Torii? How did you know that?
Those are the red doorway
Adam,
things.
you can give yourself 2 points for that.
2 points.
So
okay.
Adam has had a bit of an advantage on that particular one because...
Do I?
Oh, because he
If
was on
you
the Rafter
remember,
Dark
Adam,
with the...
we did the Raptor Dark where we looked at my photos from my trip to Japan, and I specifically made a point of mentioning, the Torii Gates at the Fushimi Inari Shrine in Kyoto were a specific inspiration on Star Fox, because you constantly are walking through all these gates in the shrine, and you are flying through shrines in Star Fox. And also,
Do I have permission to Google Torii Gate?
You can definitely do so. The Fushimi Inari Shrine is entirely themed around foxes, and you play as a fox in Star Fox. So that's the relationship there.
Oh, Tory Gates.
Yeah, those things from Assassin's Creed Shadow. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Like when you go to Epcot and it's like, here's where you would eat Japan food. And here's one of these looking out onto the water. It's all the shrines in fucking where you follow the foxes to in Ghosts of Goddamn.
Exactly.
Ghost of Goddamn.
Exactly.
Yeah. What is it? Ghosts of Tsushima. That's it.
Ghosts of Tsushima. Number 9. The 9th best-selling game on the Super Nintendo is a multi-platform game that also released on both the Sega Saturn and original PlayStation.
I was about to say something, but then I didn't.
Clue number 2. It's a game that was and still is renowned for its multiplayer mode. Clue number 3. It's an enhanced version of a title that originally released in North America in 1992.
Mortal Kombat.
It is not Mortal Kombat. And finally, clue number 4.
Street Fighter 2 Turbo Edition.
It is Street Fighter 2 Turbo. Congratulations, Chad.
Yeah.
That is, I will give you 2 points for that.
I almost said Mortal Kombat. That's why I went, I almost said Mortal Kombat.
And we are down to number 8. The 8th best-selling game on the Super Nintendo is...
Wait, pause. Hold on. Sorry. You said renowned for its multiplayer. Did it have a single player? Oh, single player.
I was going to say, you can just play it against the CPU.
I was thinking like campaign.
Right. No. I mean, there is a, like, not a campaign mode, but just like a single player thingamabob. Anyways.
Yeah.
Number 8. The 8th best-selling game on the Super Nintendo is both the first entry in its franchise and a sequel. Clue number 2. This game is also technically a prequel, taking place many years before the events of its predecessor. Clue number 3. This game featured a distinctive art style that was created by scanning hand-drawn pictures and approximating them pixel by pixel.
Oh, I feel like I should know this. I feel like I watched something that said this recently.
And yeah, we're Chad locked in. Clue number 4. The protagonist of this game can flutter in the air and throw eggs.
Yeah. This is Yoshi's Island. Super Mario World 2 Yoshi's Island.
Yoshi's Island. You can give yourself 1 point for that.
I will. Thank you. Are you keeping track of these points right now?
Yeah, I got them.
Adam? Okay, cool.
And here we go, number 7. The 7th best-selling game on the Super Nintendo is the 3rd entry in a long-running series. Clue number 2. This game was one of Respawn Fire's monthly barf games many years ago. Clue number 3. The central antagonist for most of this game is a wizard called Aghanim. And clue number 4.
Zelda 2.
Clearly, it is not Zelda 2. I was going to say, people
sense.
don't really remember playing this particular barf game. Clue number 4. It was the first entry in its series to feature parallel worlds that players could travel between.
Crow
is...
Chrono Trigger?
It is not Chrono Trigger.
No, I was like, nah, those aren't parallel worlds.
I will go ahead and
Castlevania
Zelda
3.
Link to the Past?
It is A Link to the Past.
When was there a barf game for Link to the Past?
That was our very first barf game.
Our very first barf
Oh,
game.
you said recent.
Oh, wait, maybe Super Metroid was our first one. It was one of the first ones, yeah.
Was I there as like a guest on that episode? I want to say that I
think
was.
so, yeah.
Yeah, and what I did for that particular barf game is once you get to the Dark World, you can play the 7 dungeons in that section of the game in any order. And so I specifically went and got all the items I needed to get to play them out of order. So I started with the 7th, and then I went down to 1, just because it's like, I can do this. All right, and with that, we are down to number 6. The sixth best-selling game on the Super Nintendo was published but not developed by Nintendo. Clue number 2. The studio that developed it is based in Twycross, England. Clue number 3. It's a sequel with a punny title.
Diddy's Conquest.
That is correct.
Donkey Kong Country 2,
Donkey
Diddy's
Kong
Conquest.
Country 2, Diddy's Conquest. You will get 2 points for that.
I didn't know
of
Rare
course,
was... Where did you say they were?
They're in
Yeah,
England.
they are a British video game developer based out of Twycross, England.
I knew it was Rare, but I'm like, I have no fucking idea what the game would have been because I didn't play Super
Rare.
Nintendo.
And with that, we move on to number 5. The fifth best-selling game on the Super Nintendo features an iconic soundtrack composed by Yoko Shimomura.
Chrono Trigger.
It is not Chrono Trigger. That's a good guess, knowing
Whoa.
her reputation, but it is not Chrono Trigger. Clue number 2. It's a sequel that's considered vastly superior to the game that preceded it. Clue number 3. This game's oft-forgotten subtitle is The World Warrior. And clue number 4. It first debuted in arcades before making its way to many different consoles.
The World Warrior.
I'll go ahead and I will read the clues once more. It features an iconic soundtrack composed by Yoko Shimomura. It's a sequel that's often considered vastly superior to the game that preceded it. Its oft-forgotten subtitle is The
Mortal
World
Kombat
Warrior.
2.
It is, unfortunately, not Mortal
I'm
Kombat
just
2.
guessing. I have no fucking idea.
And clue number 4, it first debuted in arcades before making its way to countless consoles. Chad, you got 2 guesses, so
I know this is
Spit
not true
anything
because
else.
no one would put Final Fantasy IV in an arcade, but Final Fantasy IV.
it is not Final Fantasy IV, unfortunately.
I'm glad I got that out of my system, so now I can think that post-cum in bucket clarity.
Keep all your
Here's what I'll
spices
say.
in there.
Here's what I'll say. At the front of this, I said that, Chrono Trigger, not a bad guess, given Yoko Shimomura's legacy. I think I might have given the wrong impression with that. It's a good guess in the sense that that's the kind of music she composes, but maybe you might want to move away from like the
Sequel
JRPG
started in
category.
arcades.
Because I don't think we know what this is, period. I don't know
Not
if
a
that
Chrono
really affects
Trigger.
us.
And what was the other clue? What was the third clue that I missed?
Arcades.
The second clue?
Its
Camera rolls.
subtitle is The
well,
World
yeah.
Warrior,
The
but it's
World
often
Warrior.
forgotten.
Mad Max Global Assault.
God, I would play the shit out of that game.
That sounds fun. We need more Mad Max games. We got the PS4 one, but we didn't get any more. Unfortunately, those are all incorrect. The correct answer is the original, no-nonsense, vanilla version of Street Fighter 2, which
Oh my God, I
carried
forgot
with
there
it
were
the
600
subtitle,
versions of this.
God,
The World
yeah.
Warrior.
Multiple of them are going to be on this fucking list. That's insane.
Wait, so Street Fighter 2, The World Warrior was the first Street Fighter 2?
Yes,
Okay.
it was.
Okay.
And with that, we can move on to number 4. The fourth best-selling game on the Super Nintendo is a spin-off title. Clue number 2. This game is credited with creating a very popular video game subgenre.
Yoshi
number 3.
Safari.
It is not Yoshi's Safari, unfortunately. Clue number 3. It's the only entry in its franchise to have Super as the first word in its title.
Super Wario Land.
It is not Super Wario Land.
No, I'm just guessing shit.
And clue number 4. The latest entry in this franchise just launched on a certain video
Super
game
Mario
console.
Kart.
It is Super Mario Kart, the first Mario Kart. You can give yourself 1 point for that.
Hell yeah.
And with that, we're moving on to number 3. The third best-selling game on the Super Nintendo was created in part to compete with the Sega Genesis version of Aladdin. Clue number 2. To help promote this game, it is not SNES Aladdin, unfortunately.
It could have been, I don't know.
Can you imagine if Disney's like, we got to beat our own game? Somebody make it better.
Clue number 2. To help promote this game, subscribers of Nintendo Power were mailed a VHS tape that contained a 13-minute behind-the-scenes look at this game's development.
I feel like I know that tidbit, but I can't think what the game is.
Clue number 3. The sidekick of this game's protagonist shares the same namesake as a disgraced rapper.
That doesn't help. It could be anybody.
Donkey Kong Country.
It is Donkey Kong Country, starring Donkey Kong and Diddy Kong.
I wouldn't say disgraced as more of a criminal. How many points is that for Chad?
That is 2. 2, correct.
Okay.
And number 2, the second best-selling game on the Super Nintendo was a pack-in game for the console.
Super Mario All-Stars.
That is correct. I was going to say the full thing was a pack-in game, but not at launch, and that was Super Mario All-Stars. It was a pack-in game, but not at launch. You can give yourself 4 points.
I didn't know it was not at launch, so I'm glad I didn't let you finish. I thought it was from day one.
And finally, we have arrived at number 1.
Adam Locke.
Okay.
Oh,
do you want to just say it now, or do you want me to?
Well, no, just give me a clue, and I'll see if I can figure it out.
The number 1 best-selling game on the Super Nintendo resulted in an animated series with the same namesake.
I'm just like, which one is that? I want to say the wrong one is the problem, Chad. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Clue number 2.
You might as well let the next clue roll because you're.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
9 points behind?
Fuck, I'll just go with the last clue.
A launch game. Clue number 2. It was a launch game for the Super Nintendo.
Give me more clues.
I mean, you could. I was going to say
Nope,
you're losing precious clues. At this
literally
point.
is not enough to catch up. It does not matter.
Clue number 3. It introduced a rideable character with a long tongue.
Interesting. Okay, give me more.
And clue number 4. Its protagonist is a famous Italian plumber.
See, it's fun to like hear his clues because he thinks we're gonna know it before he even finishes it, just to see like how much effort he did not put into these clues. The problem, Chad, is I don't know if it's 3 or 4. I don't remember Super Mario Brothers 3.
Oh, Super Mario Bros. World. Super Mario World.
World?
Unfortunately, Adam, it is not Super Mario Brothers 3. It is Super Mario World.
Isn't that All-Star? Well, I guess All-Stars is bundled with World, right?
Exactly.
All-Stars?
No.
So
No,
that's going to be my question. So All-Stars is here's all of the other Super Mario games bundled together. And then there's All-Stars plus World, which was a separate cart. Did that land on the list somewhere?
No, it did
Interesting.
No. All-Stars was the original Super Mario Bros. Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, which was a Japan-only game that they didn't bring to the States because they found it too difficult. Mario Bros. 2 and Mario Bros.
Lost Levels
3.
over there was Super Mario 2.
Exactly. All those games remade in 16-bit graphics, and then you got Super Mario World, which is technically Super Mario Bros. 4, aka Super Mario World. And that is that for the top 10. Some quick little highlights from the other entries further down the list. At number 11, you got Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie's Double Trouble, a game that is very near and dear to my heart.
Dixie's Double Trouble, right in the cumin bucket.
Little Kitty Kong, is that his name?
Kitty Kong, I believe that's correct.
I hope he makes a comeback on this Nintendo Direct on Wednesday.
I hope he does too. People hate babies. They hate babies way too much.
Especially when the babies are big. People hate big fat babies.
Just hate them. Number 13. Now an IP more closely associated with Microsoft than Nintendo. Killer Instinct for the SNES.
Killer Instinct.
Number 17. We mentioned it a couple of times. Is Chrono Trigger. Number 19. Okay. I'm just surprised it was something that ranked this high, considering all the stuff you need to play it. Mario Paint, with all its fun little musical effects and little SNES mouse. And I didn't really, to be honest, it's pretty unglamorous for it to be this low on the list, but I just want to highlight Super Metroid, one of the most acclaimed games of all time, a game that everyone really loves, only ranked 34th on the list.
It's almost like people don't buy Metroid games.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Because it fucking stars a woman. Nobody wants to play as a woman.
Where, unfortunately, the franchise.
The only time I want a woman is when I got my coming bucket next to me.
And that is that for console honor roll.
Woo, thank you, Cozy. We should, and we 100% should not do this, but we should do one where it's the top 10 variants of Street Fighter 2, if we can list them in order. Street Fighter 2 Super Turbo Championship.
I will say, real quick, before we wrap up this episode. So, before we did this particular episode, Chad, you were joking like, oh man, we're going to get in some real obscure consoles in the future. We're going to do Neo Geo. I don't have any Neo Geo consoles coming up in the future. They didn't have any sales data of those particular consoles. But let me tell you, you got some pretty interesting consoles that I was not expecting that will be popping up sometime soon.
Ooh.
Perhaps you'll be able to experience virtual reality through the eyes of Nintendo.
Whoa.
They didn't even put 10 games out on that thing.
Yeah,
there's no way
14 total, and like 6 of them are Japan
22
only.
games on that platform, I'll have you know.
And they're all make you vomit. Every one of them.
So you can look
thank you,
forward to
Cozy,
that
for console
in the
on a roll. That wraps up Game on Game Show, and that wraps up episode 399 of Respawn Aim Fire. Reminder, no episode next week. We're out and about Papa John's. You do still have homework, though. Even though there's no school, you do have homework. Your homework is go play Hollow Knight. Remember, we're playing Hollow Knight for our BARF game. That's Backlog Accomplishment with Respawn and Friends, which is a game that you have chosen for us unanimously. And you liked it so much, we played it twice. We are playing it one time over 2 months, May and June. And at the end of the month, we will review Hollow Knight in anticipation for Hollow Knight Silksong coming out later this year, not in conjunction with the Asus ROG Xbox Ally X. Just happens to be playable at that console's launch. We are going to review that game on the 30th, it sounds like. So if you would also like to be mentioned on the 30th with your thoughts, you can write into Adam at respawnaimfire@gmail.com. Or you can reach out to us any other way and just tell us, hey, I want to be on the show. And you can be on the show, maybe, if we can line up schedules, etc. And if you're not, I don't know, a racist. So those are the only requirements, schedules and racism. Lastly, but not leastly, there's something else up here, right? Hold on, let me scroll up. Something else up here.
Something else is up here, guys.
After Dark. So if you are part of our Patreon at patreon.com/respawnaimfire, you can vote for us to play games like BARF games, and we'll have a new poll up probably next week. Even though we won't have an episode, we will have a poll. I'm going to set a reminder immediately after this to do that. And as another perk, you get access to After Dark Episode 5, 30 days early. Well, I don't want to say 30 days, a month-ish early before everyone else in the world does. And this After Dark was all the places that Joel has thrown up, all the different vehicles on which Joel has thrown up. So you can listen to that right now if you're a patron. If not, if you are not a patron, you can find out all about apparently the, what are they, Tory Gates? Tory Gates.
The Tory Gates.
The Kudu-Kudu-Kudu-in.
Kudu-Kudu-Kudu-in. The Tory Gates that exist in abundance at the Fushimi Inari Shrine in Kyoto.
So check that out. That's it, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to episode 399 of Respawn Aim Fire. Until next time, here's our usual sign-off.
Oh no. Lies of P boss is back. What's he gonna say?
Oh, mon ami.
Chad, nothing is coming through.
Swimmy, 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 swimmy.